all very good, but Governor, you were the poster boy for a lot of this stuff. I see today the Trump administration they talked about, I don't know if this is true, but they talked about the fact that California had a rule that schools cannot be required to notify parents if their kids in school have changed their gender.
Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear California's in a state of turmoil. And I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office?
California's golden boy just had his shine ripped off courtesy of Bill Maher and Mel Gibson. Together, they turned Gavin Newsom's polished image into a Hollywood horror reel, peeling back the slick speeches and designer suits to show the chaos underneath. This wasn't a roast. It was a demolition.
Two different things, running and being the guy. I do, because that means he can get elected. Do I also think that if he got elected, he would be a good president? I do. Generally moving the country in the right direction. I would like to take him back a little toward the middle, but, you know.
Based on what, though? Based on what? So since you came in, what you call it, has brought us nothing but rampant crime, acute homelessness, horrendous inflation. He's made it untenable for people to make a living here.
Maher opens with the kill shot. Newsom is the political version of an Instagram influencer, all filters, no substance. That hair's worth more than most Californians' homes. The smirk could sell you beachfront in the Mojave. Maher doesn't even need to dig the man's a glossy cover with blank pages inside.
We're talking about their parents. How can you snitch? The idea of a snitch and a parent.
Gibson takes over framing Newsom as a caricature villain, the guy you meet 10 minutes into the movie, instantly know you can't trust, and watch just to see implode. He struts through California like a red carpet that leads into a burning building, calling the flames ambience.
Much more of their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate? It's time to take back our community and our state and put the power and the privilege in the hands of competent leaders whose goals are to protect us and the way of life this nation has found us and promises to offer. That's all.
Maher slices into the French Laundry scandal lockdowns for the masses, fine dining for the governor. You can't preach sacrifice while sipping $500 wine with lobbyists.
I appreciate that. I was on KBLA yesterday, with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and supporter of that station. And he said, who do you want to run for president? I mentioned I thought you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state.
Gibson makes it darker that dinner was champagne on a balcony during a flood. It's not a slip-up, it's the arrogance of a man who thinks cameras will always catch his good side, even in disaster.
Been in, whatever you call it, has brought us nothing but rampant crime, acute homelessness, horrendous inflation. He's made it untenable. And in 2019, some said, I'm going to take care of the forests and maintain the forests and do all that kind of stuff.
Didn't do anything. And then on top of that, they cut the water off.
Maher moves to crime California's treating public safety like an optional upgrade. Smash and grabs are temporary turbulence. Police are Yelp reviewers for crime scenes. Gibson goes scorched earth. It's not just rich tax dodgers leaving its middle-class families fleeing before rent becomes ransom.
The wind part. Yes, fire is a tough fight out here. And yes, global warming absolutely makes it worse. But that's largely out of our control. What are we going to do? Pass a ballot measure to make sure Chinese stop burning coal? It's also, yes, undeniably true that L.A. is built in a stupid place to build a city.
Gibson paints the escape like a disaster film CEOs in moving trucks, families driving past boarded-up storefronts. California looks like paradise, but the script's a tragedy. Maher swings to homelessness billions spent tense multiplying like pop-ups you can't close. Then he hits the green crusade banning gas cars while the grid can't handle a toaster. Installing a skylight in a submarine.
Were you able to get possessions that, of course, are really immaterial when you have your family, but I've been to your house. It was an incredible home, beautiful home. But were you able to get anything out of your house?
Not much. A few necessary things. You know, my son I said, just go and grab this and this and this. He grabbed like 3 things and took off, and then, you know, those are okay. Stuff like passports and a couple of papers and stuff like that. But by and large, everything was. When I got there the other day, I went up there yesterday. It looked like Dresden, you know, after Bomber Harris got through.
Gibson torches its solar panels for photo ops while blackouts turn cities into ovens. Maybe keep the lights on first. Mar mocks the presidential ambition leaking from Newsom's every speech rehearsing for a job he hasn't earned. Gibson strips the comedy ambition that works in speeches collapses in reality.
Dollars probably went for Gavin's hair gel. I don't know, but it's like, you know, it's sad. It's like the place is just on fire.
Well, the whole state is just so poorly managed. It's so frustrating and confusing. And then he gets on TV and pretends like everything's great.
Mm-hmm.
And California is the best. We have the best state. We have the most amazing economy. And like,
Gibson calls it filmmaking without substance, perfect frame, empty scene, fake applause. Mar hits education billions spent for burnt toast results. Newsom's social media is tourism propaganda panning away from crime outages and tents. Gibson cuts it clean you can polish rot, but the shine makes the decay brighter.
Yeah, well, one always suspects that this might happen, but one thinks that the resources, you know, and the capabilities of the men and women will be on standby, that they'll be able to cope with any situation that comes up. But apparently, some people were asleep on the job, mainly our leaders there. But, you know, that's something they have to live with.
Mar's last image Newsom posing on a sinking ship giving TED Talks while the iceberg's already through the hull. Gibson's finale a glossy poster for a blockbuster that never got made. Big budget, loud, hype hollow story. Mar circles to housing Gibson makes it visceral families stuffing belongings in storage while politicians and developers feast.
And finally, new rule, we may not be able to do much about the weather, but we do need a better plan for putting out a burning city than waiting for rain. America is so partisan now that even when there's a disaster of any kind, so many people choose to defend their own team, even over death. A lot of Democrats in this one-party state this week went right to, don't blame politicians, you can't do anything about the wind.
Housing justice speeches ring hollow when eviction notices multiply faster than building permits. Mar hits drought hypocrisy brown lawns for the people, Versailles gardens for the elite. Gibson turns it medieval peasants rationing water while the castle fountains run.
No, it's stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, which we've talked about. And this one, I think, says your department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it.
So do you think that's silly? Do you think that's a silly thing that
What was interesting?
too much government?
Look, that's an interesting one because the department stores came to us support.
Taxes? Mar calls it performance art paying more for worse roads, worse schools, and more crime. Gibson calls it daylight robbery, with the press release a cartel with better stationery. Mar hits healthcare wait times that feel like endurance sports. Straw bans while wildfires eat half the state.
Well, you know, I know they were messing with the water, letting reserves go for one reason or another. They've been doing that a while. California has a lot of problems. Sort of baffled the mind as far as why they do things. And in the events like this, you sort of look, well, is it on purpose? Which is an insane thing to think. But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in life. What could it be, you know? Do they want the state empty?
Well, Mel, there's our...
Gibson makes Wildfire Season a horror franchise, same script every year, same smoldering ruins. Mar hits business flight California innovation capital watching its talent flee to Texas. Gibson hits energy costs air conditioning as a luxury item.
You're friends with Newsom.
Yeah.
We live here, right? We live in California. I was born here. In Oakland, they have Kaiser Hospital, where my pediatrician was. The hospital put out a notice last week, employees are not to leave for lunch. It's too dangerous
Right.
in downtown Oakland. That's on him. Our homeless I don't want to hear that the homeless problem is intractable. You want to be CEO? It's your problem. It's your death.
Yeah.
I know he likes it, but I just think I can't imagine him having the gall to run to lead this country when he's running.
Gibson calls those bills ransom notes from the grid. Mar skewers high-speed rail billions spent moving slower than a DMV line. Gibson calls it a monument to wasted potential. Mar mocks the out-of-state media blitz decorating the graduation cap before passing the test. Gibson calls it desertion of duty.
Dollars probably went for Gavin's hair gel. I don't know, but it's like, it's sad. It's like the place is just on fire.
Well, the whole state is just so poorly managed. It's so frustrating and confusing. And then he gets on TV and pretends like everything's great. And California's the best. We have the best state. We have the most amazing economy. And
Mar ends on corruption lobbyists and lawmakers passing laws over cocktails. Gibson shoots in Mar-style shadowy deals while the city rots. Mar jabs at homelessness, again a renewable political resource. His final kill Newsom on a presidential debate stage pretending California is a shining example. The laugh comes first. The wince follows.